Hi everyone. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and being interested in learning about this topic. So tonight's session is all about helping our kids navigate the digital world in a safer, healthier, and more balanced way. Technology is a huge part of childhood now, and instead of fighting against it, we want to understand it, guide it, and use it in a way that supports our kids' development. So this first slide is typically kind of what was happening when we did a synchronous session. Um, oops, my goodness here. And before I jump in, I just want you to kind of take a moment to just reflect and think about what worries you most about your child's online activity. Um, and hopefully we'll be able to answer it throughout this session. If not, um, I'm hoping that we can be a resource for parents to be able to kind of get those answers and feel more confident with their kids being online. So why does this matter? And like, why are we talking about this now? Screen time for kids and teens has increased dramatically over the last few years. And for families specifically in rural communities, there aren't always a lot of in-person options. So these online spaces become the main hangout spot. Technology itself isn't necessarily bad. It's actually a tool. And like any tool, kids need guidance as they develop the emotional and social skills to use it well, use it appropriately, and use it safely. So we're not aiming for perfection through this presentation, but we're just kind of aiming for awareness and gaining those practical strategies to help our kids stay safe. So starting off with like a bit of a heavier topic, but it's definitely an important one. It's just the topic of online predators and human trafficking awareness. So this is something that is often prevalent on various social media sites, as it's just easy for these types of people to gain access to vulnerable populations such as kids, teens, adults as well, seniors, all of the above. It's easy for them to mask who they are and be able to kind of gain trust through online spaces. Kids don't always recognize these risky interactions online because the people they talk to often feel like they're friends um, or someone that they can trust. Warning signs for parents to look out for is if your kid is being secretive online with their activity. They're gaining new friendships with strangers, especially older teens or adults. And sometimes they might suddenly withdraw or have mood changes. The best protection here for this type of situation and many of the things that we'll discuss throughout this presentation is just having open and non-judgmental conversations with your kids. Kids are far more likely to come and talk to you or tell you something concerning if they don't expect to be punished or they don't expect a punishment to happen. Another bit of a scary one is just an emerging threat that has been seen recently is mainly these sextortion networks. So in the last couple of years, there's been several organized online groups, including one that I've been seeing most recently or seeing in the media most recently is a group that's identified by the RCMP as the 764 group. They specifically target youth on platforms like Roblox, Fortnite, Snapchat, Instagram, Discord, among many others. These networks often impersonate kids, build trust with other kids, and then pressure or threaten youth for photos of the various different things, from violence to inappropriate things, or just money in general. A lot of kids don't even realize that they're talking to adults in these situations. And the big thing here is early intervention. So checking in, noticing behavioral changes with your kid, and reporting any suspicious contact or activity. Technology often changes fast, especially nowadays. So awareness kind of helps us stay one step ahead and kind of keep on top of things. Throughout this presentation, I thought it would be helpful if I kind of describe a couple of the main like gaming apps and sites, as well as some social media sites, just to help parents understand kind of these things that their kids might be interacting with. So first, I was just going to go through a couple of the gaming sites that are popular right now, starting with Roblox, which is a very popular one that I'm hearing a lot about, especially in our youth center. I will preface this by saying this is a game that we don't allow being played in our youth center for a couple reasons. mainly because of the need for parental guidance and the parental permission to gain these sites. So we just keep it simple and say we're not playing this game here, just because we don't know which kids actually have parental permission and which don't. And also just for the risk of these type of concerns that have been seen with these sites. We don't want this to be something that's in our youth center. So if kids want to do it at home, that's perfectly fine. Their parents can supervise, but it's not something that we have at our space. So just to start, Roblox is a online platform. It is made up of a huge collection of games. It's not just one game. These are games created by users, so literally anybody can make a game. I could make a game, a 6-year-old could make a game. Again, anyone can make a game, which means that some are really well moderated and some aren't moderated at all. And there's very little regulation compared to some other traditional games, such as games on Nintendo Switch, games on Xbox, Minecraft, those kind of things. Why kids love it is typically just because there's endless variety. They can build, they can explore, they can play with their friends, they can jump from one experience to the next very quickly, and it feels creative and social for them. Where the risks are is because these games are user-made, the safety level changes from game to game. Some games include open chat, some include friend requests from strangers, and some game creators can slip mature or inappropriate content into games with little to no warning. It's also another one of those platforms that law enforcement is kind of monitoring because of those sextortion and grooming situations that are going on. And the biggest thing is kids don't really know who they're talking to. So it leaves them very vulnerable to talking to strangers, and just a huge platform of just unmoderated games. But that doesn't mean that it's all bad. What parents can do in terms of Roblox is kind of just check privacy and chat settings, make sure that it's kind of set for only talking to friends, and those chat settings are limited. And then again, look at which specific games your kids are playing. Just so you kind of have an idea of what they're engaging in, and keep conversations open about any unusual messages or friend requests. A little oversight with Roblox can go a long way. Next, another popular one is Fortnite. So Fortnite is an online multiplayer game where kids team up with other players. So this could be strangers or this could be their friends, and voice chat is built right into the game so they can talk to friends through the game immediately. Kids tend to love it because it's fast-paced, bright, fun, and social. A lot of kids play with their school friends, cousins, or their teammates, so it becomes kind of like an online hangout space without actually physically being together. The risks with this game typically stand with the voice chat. It's open by default, so kids can end up talking to older teens or adults during matches without planning to. Players can also send friend requests or private messages directly after the game. So sometimes conversations can start harmless or shift over time. What parents can do here is kind of similar to the Roblox, is just limit or turn off voice chat. You can also set it to friends only so that they're only able to talk to people that they're friends with. And then again, check your child's friend list. Make sure that you kind of recognize the names that are on there, and have open conversations if there are names that you don't quite recognize. And again, just reminding them not to share personal details. This is a common topic throughout the entire presentation. It's just when using online spaces, it's important that they kind of keep those personal details private, because once it's online, it's kind of accessible to pretty much anyone. Next topic that is important to discuss is just inappropriate sexual content. This is a concern with digital use, just as kids can accidentally or unintentionally access this sexual or mature content online without realizing it or by accident. The risk here, the risk here is that it can affect how they understand relationships. It can affect how they understand consent, body image, self-esteem, and just kind of can impact that without any guidance from parents or peers. The key here is balance. So using age-appropriate filters and parental controls. So on iPads and tablets and even on computers and Chromebooks as well, you can set the settings to have age-appropriate filters for browsers and for apps and that kind of thing. Again, keeping communication open with your kid is important so that they feel that they can come to you and talk to you about it if they accidentally stumble upon something. And again, just talking about healthy relationships in a way that respects your child's privacy while still offering guidance. Um, so being open to having those conversations to kind of explain maybe if they have stumbled upon something, explaining it in more of a appropriate way could be helpful as well. Next, a big concern or a big topic to discuss is social media influences. So social media is something that is almost everywhere. It's used for advertising. It's used to keep connected with friends. Um, I'm finding that kids are getting engaged with social media at very younger and younger ages. Issue here is that social media can kind of make kids feel like they have to look a certain way or act a certain way. This is because of influencers or advertising, having like heavily edited posts that create these unrealistic expectations of how life should be or how kids should act or look or what have it. So this is where you can teach kids to be critical thinkers online. So helping them to kind of ask those questions like, do I think this is real? Why might this person be posting this? Is this an accurate representation of their life or the situation, whatever? So if they can step back and analyze what they see, it gives them so much more power to utilize social media as a tool rather than something that might harm their self-esteem or body image or any of those types of things. So now to move on to just discussing a couple of the social media sites that are most popular nowadays, starting with YouTube. So YouTube is one of the biggest concerns I've been hearing from parents, just because of how wide the variety of content that is available on there, as well as it being maybe a little bit more difficult to moderate what your child is watching. So YouTube is basically a giant video library. It has everything. So it has tutorials, gaming, streams, entertainment, creator channels. There's also YouTube Shorts, which I find is the most watched thing, at least for the kids in our youth center. And that brings very quick variety of content. And sometimes it's hard to kind of keep an eye on what's being watched. Again, similar to all the social media that I'll be discussing, YouTube uses the algorithm and kind of learns what kids watch and kind of becomes incredibly personalized. So as they watch things, it kind of learns, oh, they watched this for a couple extra seconds. Maybe I'll keep feeding them those types of videos and that kind of thing. Kids tend to love YouTube because it feels endless and it's tailored just for them because of this algorithm that I was just mentioning. Again, they have their favorite creators. They that can feel like friends. There's always something new to click on, and shorts especially make it easy for them to keep scrolling, much like some of the other apps that I'll discuss. The risks with YouTube come mostly from that same algorithm, so kids can easily stumble upon inappropriate or extreme content without meaning to. Shorts move fast, so it's hard for kids to process what they're seeing. There are also misleading ads and unsafe challenges and creators who look kid-friendly but actually aren't. And again, the comment section, if it's on, can expose them to bullying or harmful language, even if it's not directed towards them. If there's like hateful messages directed towards other people's videos, they could see them and maybe adapt those kind of things into the vocabulary, which isn't also great as well. So in terms of what parents can do in regards to YouTube is for younger kids, there's actually a separate app called YouTube Kids that is a safer start, but it still needs some supervision. YouTube Kids is very strict with like what type of content sneaks through, but there has been times where like inappropriate content might sneak through or something that you might not be okay with might be watched by your child. Another thing I will note is that we have changed all our iPads to have YouTube Kids on it, but some of our kids are smart enough to just leave the app and go to the browser and just go to regular YouTube. So just keeping an eye on that. You can also turn on restricted mode, which helps filter adult content. Again, you can also set up a supervised account where the parent has to approve what your kid watches. And then one of the most effective things is simply asking, like, show me your favorite YouTubers, show me what videos you're watching. Kids often love to share, so it opens the conversation about what they're seeing online. And then from there, we can teach them about ads, clickbait, privacy, oh my goodness, privacy, and healthy digital habits. So again, the goal and with YouTube and with any of these apps is not to ban them because it's a huge part of kids' online world, but just to guide them so that they can use it safely and in a way that builds trust between you and your child. So next is Snapchat. Snapchat is another app that we're seeing a lot, especially with preteens and teens. It is a messaging app where photos and messages disappear after being used. However, this is changing a little bit with most recent updates. There's now functions where you can save chats, you can save images. Um, Kids tend to love it because it feels fun and it feels private. There's streaks, so if you message somebody regularly, you'll get a streak with them. There's fun filters, which let you send silly Snapchats, making it kind of like a low pressure environment compared to other apps. The risk here is with disappearing messages creates this kind of false sense of safety for kids where they feel like they can say or send anything, but screenshots and screen recordings still exist. So kids can also get random friend requests through quick add functions on Snapchat, and then also Snapchat has a maps function, so they can set it to having everyone be able to see their location, or they can set it to have no one see their location. Unfortunately, this is a major platform for sextortion attempts, so just making sure that your kid is keeping their account private and only adding people that they know. So again, just following up, what parents can do is review who can contact your child. So just making sure that there is a setting that um, anyone can add your child, but make sure it's said like your child has to add them. Also disable location sharing, and talk openly about the risks of sending any images, even to someone they think they know, and kind of just a conversation about not everything just disappears and that there is a risk that it will continue to exist after they send it. Next is Instagram. So again, Instagram is hugely popular and kids often start using it a little bit young. It's a photo and video sharing platform that involves messaging. There's reels. People do live streams. There's also a very active explore page. So this is a page where like literally any kind of content can happen on there. And it follows this type of algorithm that depending on what a kid watches, it'll give you more of that. Kids tend to love it because it's creative. They can follow their friends, they can follow their interests, trends, and feel kind of a part of this bigger social world. Where the risks are with this platform is message requests from strangers happen quite a lot. The Explore page can push mature content or sexualized content very quickly, so it's very easy for kids to kind of accidentally stumble upon these things. There are also many fake teen accounts that are used to contact youth, plus body image issues and comparison issues. So what parents can do is keep the child's account private, limit who they can message, and turn off suggested content. And then again, talking about your kid with how much content online is edited or staged, just so they can kind of, again, gain that type of complex or critical thinking about what they're seeing online. Next is Discord. This is what I'm not really seeing a whole lot of with our kids, or at least the kids in our area, but it tends to be popular with sorry. Oh my goodness, gamers, but also with hobby groups. So it's basically a big chat platform made of servers. Some are private, some are public, with voice channels and direct messages. It lets kids hang out with friends and talk during games. They can also join communities that are built around their interests or fandoms. Where the risks are here is that kids can join public servers instantly, which means access to strangers. Many servers have little moderation and some contain adult content, even if they're labeled as youth-friendly. So direct messages from strangers can also just pop up very easily on this. So what parents can do is just review which servers your child is in, turn off direct messages from strangers, and remind them not to accept random invite links. And then lastly, we have TikTok, which I feel is probably one of the most popular ones that I'm seeing among everyone these days. So it has a very powerful algorithm. I would say this algorithm is more powerful than the others, in that if you watch a video for like 1 second longer than another, you're going to get more of the one that you watched a little bit longer. So this is a short video platform that personalizes content based on what you watch. So every single person's For You page is going to be a little bit different. So why kids love it is it's funny, fast, creative, and it's constantly updating with new trends and challenges and sounds. The risks here lie with the algorithm can lead to kids mature or inappropriate content quickly. There's also exposure to, again, those unrealistic beauty standards, public comments from strangers, duets, stitches, and messaging options. So what parents can do with this is turn on restricted mode, keep accounts private, and adjust who can comment or message your child. And then again, talk about why the algorithm shows certain videos and how it influences what they see. Next, I just wanted to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. Pardon me. Next, I just wanted to talk about artificial intelligence and our kids online. So AI is everywhere nowadays, from TikTok recommendations to chatbots, to game algorithms. So AI can be helpful and be used as a tool, but it can also push inappropriate content, keep kids online longer, create these realistic deepfakes, which are kind of fake videos of real people that look very real. And they can also make it harder to tell who's real or what's real. So it can be important to talk to your kids about AI and help them develop digital skepticism. So just because something looks real doesn't mean it is. The goal isn't necessarily to scare them, it's just to help them pause and question what they're looking at. So we do have an example. I'm not sure it will transfer onto the recording, so I will link this to the post where this video is. Next, I just wanted to chat about addiction and screen time. So, apps are designed to keep us scrolling. So, with these algorithms that give us content that's catered to what we like, as well as the various colors that are used on certain social media apps and in our phones in general, they're designed to keep us scrolling, keep us looking at them. Excuse me. And not just kids, but adults too. So, some signs that your child might be struggling with screen balance include that they need to check devices constantly, they experience frustration when devices are removed, they lose interest in offline activities, and then simple strategies to support your child through either preventing an addiction or helping them when that kind of line has been crossed is modeling balanced tech use ourselves. So making sure that if you're kind of setting rules and expectations for your child when it comes to tech, kind of modeling those same things with your own use. Again, it can be helpful to create tech-free times, such as at the dinner table, during meals, or at bedtime, or just encouraging offline habits that they genuinely love. I think this is key here is if you're trying to replace excessive screen time with other offline activities, making sure that those offline activities are something that they're actually interested in, so it can be as engaging as their online time. The next topic is just sleep and well-being. So using screen before his bed can actually inhibit their sleep as it reduces the melatonin that the body produces, which means less sleep. And that can affect everything. So their mood, behavior, learning, and stress. So a couple helpful routines to make sure that digital use is not impacting their sleep is to have device-free bedrooms so that their brains associate their bedroom with play, relaxation, and sleep. Creating a rule that there's no screens before 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. This allows their body to create this melatonin that's crucial in helping them fall asleep and stay asleep. Also, having a consistent sleep schedule can help them with maintaining a good sleeping routine. And then again, quiet offline wind down activities can be really helpful instead of instead of watching TV or instead of scrolling on a phone, having some other offline wind down activity can be helpful to helping them wind down, helping them relax, and have a good night's sleep. Cyberbullying is also another thing to be mindful of. It shows up in many forms, so whether it's teasing, exclusion, threats, gossiping, group chats, or screenshots. If it happens, it's important to focus on keeping the evidence so that if you need to escalate it to reporting to whether it's authorities or school or some other person, you kind of have those things in your back pocket. Again, talking openly without blame. So if your child is the one that's cyberbullying, or if your child is being cyberbullied, it's important to talk to them without blaming them. So if they're cyberbullying, there's often a reason why. There's some underlying issue. Um, so discussing kind of to figure out what that is and how to best support them so that this behavior doesn't kind of continue. Also important to report any serious incidences and then supporting a child emotionally. So supporting them through it because cyberbullying is just as impactful as bullying in general or in person. Um, it's important to note that we can't prevent every single conflict, but we can teach kids empathy, boundaries, and resilience to kind of prevent cyberbullying from happening or prevent those moments from impacting our kids as much. Lastly, is just making sure we support our kids in gaining this digital resilience in a healthy balance when it comes to online time. Resilience online means helping kids to understand the risks of being online, helping them to think critically, supporting them, and encouraging them to ask for help when they need it. Managing their emotions when it comes to online topics. So whether it's managing their emotions in terms of self-esteem and what they're seeing, or managing their emotions of being constantly connected to the world. And again, helping them to balance online and offline life, my goodness, is really important as well. One way of doing all of this is just to kind of create family agreements or digital contracts that can help clarify expectations, not necessarily as a punishment for your child, but do it through teamwork. And again, it can be helpful for everyone in the family to kind of follow these same rules so that if you're expecting your kid to kind of have limited screen time, maybe following that same thing for yourself so that they kind of see that this is the standard that is expected of everybody in the family. So since this is just a recorded session, I figured I would finish off with some frequently asked questions, and hopefully this answers any questions or concerns that you may have that wasn't answered throughout the rest of the presentation. So starting off, how much screen time is too much? So for this, I would say that there's no perfect number, but quality and context matter more than the minutes that your kid is spending. So instead of counting hours, I would focus on, is my kid sleeping well? Are they active and social? Are school, hobbies, and relationships still healthy outside of digital life? If those are balanced, their screen time is likely manageable. Um, it's not necessarily about how much time, it's kind of what they're doing. So like sometimes playing video games is social for them. Um, so just kind of what's normal for your kid and kind of looking at these other areas before determining if they're using it too much. Should I ban certain apps or games? You can, but I would say bans often lead to kids hiding the behavior and doing it behind closed doors or doing it behind your back, which could open another plethora of issues. Instead, I would suggest learning about the apps that they're using, decide for age appropriateness so that instead it's not no, it's just a not yet. Set boundaries together about certain apps or games, revisit this regularly so things might change, and then kind of collaborate on these rules to increase their safety and trust with you. What age should a kid get a phone? I would say this varies by family, but I would consider the maturity level, the ability to follow rules, whether they understand privacy, how well they handle peer pressure, and also just the reasoning behind needing a phone. So like if your kid is babysitting or your kid is walking home from school by themselves, maybe a phone would be something to consider, but if these aren't really the case, if there's not like a need for them to be in contact all the time with the world, then maybe not. But one thing I have seen a lot with the youth that enter the youth center is those there's watches that could connect with parents, so they could kind of really only contact their parents, and it doesn't expose them to all these other things that they might not be ready for, depending on their age. How do I keep my child safe without spying on them? So for this, I would use communication and boundaries, so not secrecy. So kind of tell them what safety settings you're turning on and why. Create family tech rules together, and do regular check-ins, like show me who you follow or who you're playing with or what are you watching. Kind of keep that open communication so it's not so secret on either side. And oftentimes, like kids are safer when parents are involved and trustworthy. So trusting your kid and like showing them you trust them might lead to them being able to openly talk to you about what they're doing online. How do I talk to my child about inappropriate content they might see? I would keep it calm and age appropriate. Saying something like, sometimes the internet shows things that aren't meant for kids. So if you ever see something confusing or scary, you can tell me. You're not in trouble. So just like normalizing them coming to you and not hiding it. What if my child is gaming for hours? Should I worry? Like I said earlier, gaming can be social and skill building. So I would just worry if you're seeing mood changes, losing an interest in offline activities, constant conflict over screens, and if it's kind of impacting their sleep. But if not, long gaming sessions, especially social ones with their friends, is completely normal. Next one, is YouTube or Roblox actually safe? I would say no platform is 100% safe. These apps can be safer. There's settings that allow them to be safer, but I wouldn't say they're like 100% safe. So I would suggest using those privacy settings, using chat restrictions, and having supervised accounts, and then still checking in about what they're watching, what they're playing, and just kind of keeping that line of contact open. Um, so how do I handle constant, but all my friends have it kind of topic? I would suggest like validating at first, like, yeah, I get it, it feels unfair. And then just kind of reiterating that every family has different rules. Our job is to keep you safe. And then again, like I said earlier, it's really helpful for you to say not yet as opposed to just no. Kind of keeps them with a clear timeline and lets them know that you might revisit this conversation at a later date. Um, but again, every family is different. And then lastly, like what's the best overall approach for digital parenting? And I feel like I said this throughout the entire presentation, is just a balanced approach is probably best. So staying curious, guiding your child instead of controlling their online use, setting clear boundaries that everyone follows, keeping conversation open, non-judgmental, and non-punitive so that they feel like they can keep coming to you. They don't feel like they have to avoid it. Again, model healthy habits. So kids are more likely to follow rules and follow habits if they're also seeing it in their parents and their older siblings, and other people in the house. Kids don't need like perfect parents when it comes to digital safety. They just need ones that are engaged and kind of um, keeping up with what's going on. So that's it for the presentation. So thank you again for clicking on this video and taking the time to learn a little bit more about how to guide our children and keep them safe in our digital world. If you ever have any questions or need help navigating a situation or want resources, please feel free to reach out to the Youth Center email and we'll be able to help you and guide you to maybe a resource that might be useful, or another place that might be useful for you, or be able to answer the question ourselves. All right, thank you, everybody.